Welcome to Critical Role Demystified. I'm Mike Christensen, and this is the series where we break down the lessons we can learn as GMs and as players from episodes of Critical Role. Today we're tackling episode 39, Omens. Before we begin, I just want to say that I love making these Critical Role videos. We are entering my favorite Vox Machina story arc, and I would love to make these videos more often. But doing so would involve more time and energy than I have right now, so if you want to make that goal a reality, if you want a weekly Critical Role Demystified series, the best way to do so is to join my Patreon. When we hit 1,000 patrons, even if all of you back at only $1 a month, I'll hire an editor to help with all of my videos, and that will help free up some time each week to make this series weekly. So if that's the thing you want, you know what to do. As a note, Ashley isn't able to join for this game, but Pike was still with them in the middle of the adventure, so Matt plays Pike throughout the session. As the episode opens, a purple worm was right in the middle of bursting out of the ice to menace our heroes. Just a fun little detail, Grog's first roll is an 18 to hit, which barely hits. That's just funny to me for no reason, and certainly not for a reason I'll explain later on in this very video. Some of them try to fight the worm, but after the first round, another huge ice worm bursts out of the ice and sprays a cone of ice at all of them. Laura immediately clocks that this is the monster that killed the old man, the man who bought General Krieg's house and is currently in the corner of the cave just chillin'. Also, something funny that comes up here is that the purple worm has a poison stinger, but the cast is immune to poison and fear, thanks to the Hero's Feast that Gilmore cast on the party the night before. I don't think that was totally deliberate on Matt's part. The Hero's Feast just happened naturally as part of the scene in the previous episode, and as a result, one of the monster's attacks is just not as dangerous as it's meant to be. But Kaylie has an awesome plan. She rushes to where she can see the most people, and she casts Wind Walk, which turns about half of the party members into mist. Like, half the party numbers-wise, not one half of each party member. That would be a gruesome spell. Anyway, in the mist form, they have a speed of 300 feet, and they have resistance to non-magical weapons. But they can only dash. They cannot attack. And if they want to revert back to their normal form, it takes 1 full minute of doing nothing else but concentrating on that. Marisha didn't realize that they couldn't attack in this form, but Matt continues on with the game. Those adventurers are made of mist now. And okay, this wouldn't be the end of the world if she'd gotten all the party members in the radius, because then they maybe could have escaped together. But because only half the party is in a mist form, they're now basically dealing with 2 challenges. One is 2 giant worms, and the other is the fact that half the party is made of gas and can't attack. Now, you might be typing, Marisha, read your spells in the comments, and if that's the case, I'm going to say, Matt says that 3 times in the moments after she casts the spell, and twice more as the limitations of the spell continue to present an issue during the encounter. So if her Dungeon Master has told her that already, and also it's been 7 years, you're adding nothing to the conversation. Like, yes, you should read your spells, but sometimes mistakes happen. And on that note, hey, here's a lesson. Sometimes players get a new spell and they're really excited about it, and then they misread it. Like, it happens. Honestly, it's not a big deal. The community made way more of a fuss about this than there needed to be because it was a 6th level spell, and honestly because it was Marisha, and it makes a useful talking point to use against her when you already don't like Marisha, like a lot of people did. Like, Liam spends the first 20 minutes of this episode asking if he can use Uncanny Dodge or Evasion for literally everything that Matt mentions, even when he's already been told that neither feature applies, and the community response was not nearly the same. But both these mistakes come from the same source. Sometimes players just misread things, and it's not a big deal. Like, yeah, the cast is frustrated that half of them got turned into mist, but eventually Liam says what he always says when someone makes a mistake in the heat of battle, but they just need to move on and proceed and not spiral into the blame game. He says, fog of war, which, aside from being kind of an ironic phrase given the spell in question, is also a really useful mindset when things like this happen in the game. Sometimes someone misreads the situation, or in this case, misreads a rule or a spell. It happens. And it'll happen again because people are only human. So it happened, move on, keep playing. Now, it's not always that easy. Like I said, the cast is a bit frustrated, including Marisha, who wasted a 6th level spell slot in something she thought was going to be awesome. And that attitude can be a bummer. You don't want people to have a bad time when playing the game. But of course, continuing to play the blame game doesn't solve that problem. The cast understands that, and while, yes, they are going to continue to be frustrated by this spell, and it makes the group a little bit punchy for the rest of this fight, Fog of War is still a really helpful way to think about moments like this. Lingering in blame isn't useful. The player clearly feels pretty crappy about this already. Nobody loves the situation they're in, but grousing about it doesn't solve that, so just keep playing. I also want to briefly run down the reactions of the cast members. Taliesin is making playful jokes, kind of at Marisha's expense, but he's also patting her on the back and reassuring her, reminding her that it's not the end of the world. Sam, who has always been a big fan of failing forward, is trying to find the bright side of things. Liam is frustrated mostly because he doesn't want Vex to be killed by the worms while he's made of farts, but again, he's the one who is fully reinforcing the fog of war mindset. Laura thinks they're all going to die, but she says that in every combat. And Travis doesn't say a word. He looks frustrated, but you know what? He knows that there's no comment that will solve this situation, so he just keeps his mouth shut. Travis Willingham, best D&D player on the planet since 2012, I'm not even a little bit joking. If you don't have anything nice or productive or educational to say, sit on it until you're out of the fight. Just ride it out. Now let's get back to the session. The next notable thing that happens is one of the worms swallows Scanlan whole. I won't deny the situation is not ideal. Now when we reach Marisha's next turn, Matt offers her a lifeline. Since it's not a concentration spell, normally Keyleth could not end the spell early, but since they don't want the effect of the spell at all, he'll allow her to end it early. Marisha feels like this is a handout from Matt, but in Matt's defense, this is similar to when Matt ruled that Scanlan could end a seeming on Percy multiple times during the Briarwood arc because it would just make moments more badass. So even though Seeming and Windwalk are both 8-hour spells with no way to end their effects abruptly, this would still be a fairly consistent ruling. Marisha also realizes that they all misread the casting time. It normally takes 1 minute to cast. Even better, Matt narrates that Keyleth, as an Ereshari, was able to accelerate the casting just this once, and they'll play it as written next time. And yes, that means they have yet another reason to easily explain giving Keyleth the ability to end the spell in her turn, just this once. Now, Marisha asks if Matt is giving her the ability to end this spell early because he feels bad for her, and he denies that. But here's the thing. Come closer. It's okay if the answer is yes. It's a game. Matt and Marisha are very concerned about appearing fair, and yeah, fairness is important. I say it at the end of every one of my videos. It's important to be as fair as possible. But also, this is a game, and if everybody is miserable and you can reasonably explain a one-time fix to a one-time problem, fucking, it's a game. Just bail your players out. It's fine. Now, some of you might not agree, and like I said, I think there's a virtue to being consistent with your rulings, even when it may not be what the players want. But in this case, you know the players wouldn't have cast the spell if they'd properly understood the consequences. You're not retconning anything. They've been stuck with this spell for a full round, so they're also going to remember the way the spell is supposed to work, so they've already learned their lesson, and sticking with the spell might genuinely lead to characters dying when they don't have to. And Matt has come up with 2 or 3 rationalizations to give Marisha a just this once way to get rid of the spell. So again, with all that in consideration, I really think in moments like this, it's reasonable to let your players end the spell they regret casting and wouldn't have cast and shouldn't have even been able to cast. If you still disagree, feel free to explain your reasoning in the comments below. I'd be very curious about your mindset, but if you believe that the entire cast should be punished and the entire fight should be exponentially more difficult because one player misread one spell, I suspect we just might not see eye to eye on why we play these kinds of games. Anyway, she ends the spell and the fight continues. Vax is swallowed by the purple worm, and he's almost unconscious when it happens. That's not good. Percy shoots the worm and kills it, and Grog cuts Vax out of the worm, but does stab into Vax in the process and knocks him unconscious. Pike is able to cast Heal and get him back to 70 hit points, which is great, and Grog finishes off the other worm. And thanks to Craven Edge absorbing blood and yoking him up, Grog is twitchy and blood-hungry, and he wants more battle. Probably fine, right? Vex desperately wants more gold before they leave, so Grog Frenzy Rage loots the hoard, and Scanlan casts Big B's hand and scoops gold into the bag of hoarding. Holdings. That was Freudian. Percy and Keyleth also want to recover the body of the dead man, and so the party talks themselves into staying for another 5 minutes to get lots of gold and to thaw out the dead man's feet enough to huck him over their shoulder and leave. The instant they say that this is their plan, Matt rolls some more dice and describes that the ground begins to shake, so instead, they all just flee through the teleportation circle just as an even larger purple worm bursts into the cave. Interesting that Matt takes this opportunity to urge his players to retreat when it looks like the situation might be more than they can handle. The fact that he does that in this episode is kind of important, and we'll get back to that later. Back in General Krieg's house, they discuss what to do next. Vex is very concerned with the semantics. Since they didn't find this gold in the house, she feels they technically don't owe Dr. Dranzel a cut. She also at first says that they should claim the house for themselves, but clarifies that she just means that they should inform Uriel what's going on, in broad strokes, and that they should make sure that nobody else goes into the house since it's clearly dangerous. And maybe they'll be the ones to go back into the house in the future, and I suspect they'll be able to get some more gold next time. They also want to take the skull with the gemstone in the eye socket to somebody who knows what it is and what to do with it. And as they take it, Grog asks a very interesting question. He asks if the skull can hear him. And just look at Matt's face.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Grog, we can hear you.
Yeah. Right. Good. Maybe...
Oh, shit.
Oh. The whispers.
That is the look of a man who is in disbelief that the same guy keeps getting his hands on all of the talking magic items. Hey, Matt, buckle up. It's always going to be Travis. Anyway, Grog runs out of the house and bellows behind him that they all have to get out. He tells them a lie that the house is evil and has to be brought down, but nobody falls for it. Vax confronts him about everything he's got going on. He's been weird, he's talking to himself and talking to swords and talking to random stuff in houses. And he also mentions that, yeah, he shaved Grog's beard once and Grog has cut him in half twice, so they should be more than even by this point. But Grog denies any of this, including the idea that their prank war is over. He says they are not even. So Vax walks away, he just walks into the city. Grog confides in Pike that the skull offered him a wish, but Pike, played by Matt, remembers the last wish they were offered and doesn't think it's a good idea. The party wants to get this skull to Allura in Whitestone, but first they have to take it back to the keep, while Scanlan and Vex report their findings in the house to Uriel. They lie their way into a closed-door meeting and find Uriel and the rest of the council in a heated discussion, which they quelch as Vex and Scanlan enter. They don't want anything to be overheard. Our heroes report their findings and leave, but Scanlan wants to know more about what they were talking about, so he asks to use the bathroom, and then he turns into a fly and zips back into the conference room. But hey, here's a funny thing. After the Briarwood incident and the revelation that Daxio was a traitor, it seems that they refreshed the palace's magical defenses because Scanlan transforms back into a gnome in front of the council. It's awkward.
That one's full. The one that I tried to go into, it's full and it needs a big cleaning.
Good to know, Scanlan.
I thought there was another one this way.
There isn't, Scanlan.
Not through there or anything? All right. Carry on then. You should send someone up to service it, though, right away.
Looks over to Topher, and Topher goes like,
It's a matter of security.
we'll have it done. Thank you, Scanlan. Now,
No problem.
please.
Okay, 2 lefts and a right, and I'm out. Thank you.
Matt's gotta be using Botox because he didn't move.
When they all get back to the keep, well, first of all, Vax doesn't come back. But also, the party finds out that Kaylie is in the stockade, and most of the band is there trying to get her out. Scanlan wants to help get her out, and this is where he confesses to the party the truth.
Listen, don't spread the word around. I don't want my cred to be ruined, but she's my little girl.
Dog.
You're a baby daddy?
I didn't know this. This is new information. I'm still just adjusting to it.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Tried to sleep with your baby daddy.
No, I didn't.
Did you lock that up?
No, I did not. I did not try to sleep with her. I think deep down inside, some part of me knew, which is why I gave her all that gold, I think.
You paid her for it?
No! Oh, Grog, please!
Travis Willingham, best D&D player, and it's not even close. Also, it's a quick moment, but Vex does seriously tell Scanlan to make sure Kaylie knows he's there for her and that he loves her. Because Vex has been in this exact position. She was Kaylie. Well, okay, her father didn't try to sleep with her, thank Christ, but she was a neglected child. And she sees Scanlan is in the position to get it right where Sildor got it wrong. Vex counts the gold and gems from the Horde, and Scanlan brings Keyleth and Percy with him to the stockade. Man, I love this scene so much, but the goal of this series is not to make a compilation of kick-ass Talos and Jaffe quotes, or these videos would be way longer, so here's the time code, go check it out on your own time. But here are the highlights. Kaylie was in a bar fight, that's why she's under arrest. Percy and Scanlan enter as the ambassador of Whitestone and his lackey, respectively, and they brusquely dismiss Ranzel and his band as commoners who they totally don't know and aren't associated with. Percy spins a lie about Kaylie being needed to perform in Whitestone, and so the warden agrees to release her if they pay 700 gold in damages. Percy, still salty about the gun that was tossed in the acid, agrees that Scanlan will pay the fine.
Your brand of subterfuge is not what I had in mind.
What good is such subterfuge when there's such an opportunity to create a ballad, some sort of ballad about a cautionary tale?
I could have picked anyone to be with me here. Not you're rubbing my face in it because I threw your gun in the lava.
So poorly. You chose so poorly. It is truly impressive how poorly you chose.
Of course, they don't seem to have 700 gold on them, so Percy offers a down payment to the warden just for him and promises the full fee when they come home to Greyskull Keep. Some people might call that a bribe, and with a natural 1 on a persuasion check from Percy, it seems the warden is one of those people. Scanlan salvages the situation by punching Percy and punching a guard and getting thrown into the same cell as Kaylie. The two of them teleport out of the jail and return to Greyskull Keep. Given that the heat is on Kaylie, Dranzel and his band decide to skip town. As they leave, Kaylie tells Scanlan not to look for her. She'll find him when she's ready. Oh, also, the band forgot to grab their gold, so they didn't get their cut from the job, though they did steal a whole bunch of stuff from the kitchen and from the guest room. The party takes a long rest, and during the night, Grog tries to sneak into Percy's workshop to get the skull, but his brilliant plan to pick the lock with a greatsword somehow fails. Doors, man. Also, Vax does not come home during the night. In the morning, Seeker Assume comes to the door and requests Vox Machina come to an event tonight. Uriel is going to make a statement about the rumors about Daxio's betrayal and Uriel's mind control. The party discusses taking the skull to Whitestone, or going to Whitestone to bring Allura back to study it here, but they decide that the skull can wait another day. They head out into the city to find Vax. Meanwhile, wherever Vax was, he was just thinking, but he tells Matt that he was keeping an eye out just in case. Matt says he didn't see anything, the windows were dark all night. So, he was definitely camped outside of Kainen's house, right? That's my theory anyway, but it's the only one that makes sense to me. He feels very guilty about Kainen still. Vax sneaks back to the keep, and Keyleth catches a glance of him in the streets, but Vax asks for his privacy, and she gives it to him. After the party spends the day looking for him, they go back to the keep, which Matt thankfully narrates right away. He doesn't have them roll anything once Vax goes back to the keep, he just narrates that they look until mid-afternoon, and then they go home. And when they get back, Vax is waiting in Vex's room. And we get a very interesting exchange.
Well, there you are. What's going on?
Look, everything's fine. All
I
right?
believe you fully.
Everything's fine. I just don't know what we're doing anymore.
What do you mean?
I don't know what we're doing. I don't know why we're doing it. I don't know. I've just been thinking about it. I mean, what is the point of our lives?
Well, that's a very deep question.
When it was just you and me, I knew what we were doing. We were just trying to survive.
Right. That's really all we're doing now, just on a grander scale.
We're running into this shit on purpose now, which is all right when there's reason. I don't always know why we're doing the things we do. It was fun breaking into that house. I'm good at it.
Yes, you are.
I don't know why we did it. I don't know why I'm working with a large fucking beast of a man who seems to despise me day after day.
He doesn't despise you.
The fuck he doesn't. I don't know why we're doing it. I don't know why we're with most of these people. And I love these people, but I don't know why we're doing it. And I just want you to think about it a little bit too. And I'll walk out the door.
I've made a video in the past about talking to your players to see how they're feeling between sessions, specifically where they feel they are on their character's internal journeys. Now, not all players think about their own character arcs in that way, but this is a table full of performers, and they definitely think about their character arcs. And more than that, their characters' motivations. For the first time in a long time, the group doesn't have an adventure right in front of them. For most of the campaign, and certainly everything that we've seen so far, each adventure has spun out of the one before. The journey to the Underdark led to taking the Horn of Orcus to Vasselheim. Their second day in Vasselheim, they got in trouble with the local law and had to audition to join a monster hunting guild. The day they got back to Amon, they learned about the Briarwoods coming to town, which led them to Whitestone for that entire arc. When they got back, they tracked down the traitor Riskel Daxio. But now there's a lull. The momentum has stopped, and Vax, and Liam, now finally has a moment to sit and think about what his character actually wants. What goals do they have at this point? Money? Status? They've got all that. Vex always wants more, but Vax just wants to keep his sister safe. That's it. Do they want a purpose? A moral mission? Well, breaking into the house of General Krieg again and stealing some gold is a far cry from rescuing a town from vampires, or stopping a beholder from sending an army to the surface world, or even just working off a debt to the Slayer's take. Vax longs for purpose, and what he's expressing in this moment is frustration that they're sliding back into their more mercenary tendencies. Because Liam likes heroic fantasy stories. He loves Lord of the Rings. He was the first player to refer to K'varn as an existential threat to all of humanity. He thrived in the Briarwood arc. He likes stories with high stakes, and they've earned them. They're level 12. They are ready to take on objectives that matter. Something like breaking into Krieg's house is going in the wrong direction. Now, some of this is related to Vax's personal objectives, but some of this is also just Liam's sense of story structure. They're too high level to deal with petty bullcrap like stealing a bunch of gold from an empty house. It's just not satisfying. Now, ideally this would be something to discuss between sessions rather than expressing it in character, but A, we now know that Liam was going through a difficult personal time, so his capacity for those kinds of conversations was potentially limited. But more importantly, we know that this cast trusts each other. As they laugh at jokes, Travis and Liam are still making physical contact with each other. Liam is giving physical signals to reassure Travis and the rest of the table that his frustration is not aimed at his fellow players, even if it might be directed towards their characters. This is good communication, even if it's nonverbal, because it conveys Liam's intentions to keep this conflict in character and not let it bleed over. But yeah, Liam is basically telling Matt that he wants the party to take on missions that matter. We're at 3 hours and 19 minutes into this episode. You want to mark that time. Scanlan swings by Gilmore's to request another scrying potion, but also he specifically wants a way to find somebody. Like, hypothetically, a certain somebody who told him not to look for them. Meanwhile, Grog asks the staff if they sell lockpicks, but they don't. His fixation on this skull is not healthy. Anyway, Scanlan doesn't get the potion he's looking for on this day, but Gilmore accompanies the two of them to Uriel's event. At the event, as the sun sets, Uriel takes the stage with his family and the rest of the council, minus Allura, of course, who is still in Whitestone. Uriel starts by confirming that Daxio is dead and asks everyone to respect his legacy and not smear his name. I don't think that's going to work. Uriel, the rumors are already out there, but Uriel has at least told us how he's handling the situation. By denying there was a traitor under his nose who was working for a vampire and a necromancer, and all of whom who were working together to serve the goals of a lich who wants to become a god. You know, when I say it like that, I think I understand why Uriel denied it. But then Uriel takes responsibility for not seeing the liars around him, not helping their allies, and not protecting his family from literal demons. He doesn't think he's the same quality of leader as his father or grandfather, and he feels Iman has outgrown the need for his family to rule. So he's stepping down at the end of the week and handing the city over to the Council of Taldore. A few interesting things to note here. First, this is also almost exactly what just happened in Whitestone. When Cassandra told Percy that she didn't think she was qualified to rule, he chose to create a council to rule Whitestone and just have the Derolos be a part of it, but not be the undisputed rulers. The second thing to note, in Whitestone, it was a good thing that the city was becoming slightly more democratic. And even in the animated series, when this scene is adapted, it's more celebratory. It sort of represents progress toward a world without monarchs and with possibly more representational democracy, maybe sort of a little bit. But here, the reaction of the cast is more stunned and uncertain. Partially it's because they know Uriel, they like Uriel, and they don't want to see him basically give up on himself. But also, their status in the city is about to change dramatically. First, okay, the king is stepping down, so we're not going to have the same favor with the local ruler, whomever that winds up being. But then, oh wow, oh boy, wait, hold on, we're on the council, and the council's going to be in charge, so does that mean we're going to be in charge? Oh, and then a guard rushes onto the stage and whispers something in Secret Assume's ear. And then Matt gets up and whispers in Laura's ear. We talked about this recently as well. It's his way of rewarding her for her character's very high passive perception, because this is something she cares a lot about. She built a character who is good at noticing things and reading lips because she gets really bad FOMO. So in this case, Matt gives her a little bit of early insight into what's about to happen. And then she gets the attention of the rest of the party, and they see something in the sky. Two shapes, one black and one red, streak across the sky and vanish. She rolls to see if she can tell if they're dragons, and Travis asks if he can roll as well, but Matt literally confirms what we were just talking about. He's specifically giving this to Laura because of her really high perception. Uriel tries to finish his speech, but warning bells start ringing out. Assume tries to get everyone to clear out and go home, but then, well...
At this point, you guys hear this sound, and you turn around just in time to see what looks to be a larger than you've seen before, white dragon just slam into the side of Allura's tower in the distance. Claws clunk into the side, digging into the stonework, wings unfurled. It looks into the upper window of where her actual parlor is and kind of peeks in for a second before just unleashing a blast of icy cold magical breath into the inside of the tower. You can see now screams start tearing around you as the guards start getting their weapons ready. At which point, the dragon pulls its head back and looks about at everyone screaming, and pushes off the tower. As it does, you see the stonework crack, and the top of Allura's tower shatter.
Oh my god.
Collapse, smashing into the city streets around you. At which point, the dragon and takes off again above you. At this point in time, utter chaos has been unleashed, and you can see now the guards are rushing Uriel off the table. You guys are there kind of caught amongst this chaos. At this very moment, as the white dragon heads deeper into the city, you hear a loud thum impact that silences the chaotic air around you as the wall that the stage is buttressed up against now has perched above it an enormous vision of death. A grinning, ancient green dragon. Its wings are kind of curled around its form as it looks down at the rest of you in the middle of this open space and goes, "Delicious cattle. Raishan enjoys the taste of fear." At which point it whoosh, whoosh, leaps down onto the stage, crushing part of it. I would like you all to roll initiative.
Hey, Liam. Matt's got your back. 3 hours and 31 minutes. Less than 15 minutes from when Vax unloaded on Vex. Don't worry. Matt knew what he was doing.
We can't fight 4 dragons. Can we?
Wait, did you say 4?
You didn't say 4.
4.
There
There's
was
a red and a black, a white and a green.
As they roll initiative, the cast basically asks, wait, for real, are we fighting something at the end of this episode? It's 10:30 at night. Now, sometimes Matt will drop a monster in front of them and then they'll fight it next week. I mean, that's literally what happened in the last episode we talked about. But that's clearly not what he's doing right now. And fights in 5th edition may be faster than they were in previous editions, but not so fast that you can conceivably start fighting an ancient green dragon at 10:30 p.m. And even if it doesn't kill you all instantly, best case scenario, that fight would at least take you until midnight, bare minimum. But of course, that's the point. We've talked before about how Matt often runs escape scenes without initiative to help keep the players from being tempted to do stupid things like hang back or martyr themselves. Plus, it just keeps things cleaner. But that only works if there's no question about whether or not the characters will flee. And this is the clever thing about this scene. Matt wants them to run. I don't think that's in dispute. There are 4 ancient dragons and they're only level 12. But it has to be their choice. He can't just describe them running for them. Otherwise, he's robbing them of their agency. And the entire point of this next arc is having the agency, the freedom to go wherever they want, whenever they want. This next arc is going to be extremely self-directed. So yeah, he rolls for initiative at 10:30 at night. And his players know something is wrong. They're not going to do a whole fight. So he's using this timing strategically to establish that, yeah, you don't have the time for a full fight. With that in mind, you should think about all of your options. But of course, that's just the first method he's using to send this message. And the second method is a lot harder to miss. No pun intended.
Right.
What's happening? I don't know. What the fuck do we do?
Well, I only do one thing. I go into a rage.
All right.
And a frenzied rage.
All right.
And I take out Craven Edge. And I say, how do you feel about Dragon?
I think it sounds delicious. Let's try a taste.
Great weapon, Master. I run up to the dragon and hack away.
All right, make your strikes.
All right. In hell. Where's that son of a bitch? 19.
19 misses.
19 misses?
Yes.
Everybody hear that?
Dragon.
19 misses.
22.
Just barely hits.
Oh.
It has an AC of 22. Some bullshit.
That'll miss.
Wait, how do I do anything to it?
Literally one of my all-time favorite moments in Critical Role history. And the way the background music happens to sync up with it is just a fantastic coincidence. And honestly, it's also kind of a coincidence that Grog happened to roll something that wouldn't miss most monsters, but did miss here. The fact that Grog's first strike was a 19 to hit was such a perfect coincidence because it's high enough to hit anything, except apparently, no, it's not. But coincidence aside, Matt is employing another technique here. He's not just flat out telling them they need to run, he's not even telling them that the creature looks armored. It's a dragon, and that speaks for itself. He's just giving this dragon a pretty high AC compared to most of the monsters the party usually fights. Now, generally speaking, you don't really want your monsters to always have ridiculously high armor classes because players don't like to miss. That's not very fun. Nothing really happens when you miss. So it's generally better to have a lot lower AC and a lot more hit points because then players get to feel productive. But in this case, Matt doesn't want them to be productive. They can't just take down this dragon if they just work on it for a few rounds. So yeah, let the dragon have a really high AC, because the party is not ready for this fight. Then Matt pulls out his third method for signaling the players. He tells Laura something that Vex would know about dragons. Now this is always a bit inelegant, there's no way around it. You never really want to just tell your players what they're thinking and how they're feeling, but sometimes it's unavoidable. Especially if the characters are experts in something but the players are not. Laura isn't an expert on dragons, but Vex is, so Matt has to give her an important information download. And when you have to do that, you can borrow this technique. At least make it a really dramatic moment.
Vex,
Well, we got his status effects.
you are familiar with dragons. It's one of your favorite enemies. Only the most ancient and powerful of dragons ever reached this size. Chromatic dragons are very selfish entities and do not usually work with individuals of other color patterns. The fact that this is coordinated between multiple is a very, very bad sign. You're suddenly brought back to a singular moment in your past where you recall seeing 4 orbs embedded in a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I fully
Yeah, no, we
think
remember that.
We brought this on ourselves.
We know that.
Chickens come home to roost.
See what I mean about making this dramatic? First of all, it's not a non sequitur, it's clearly very much connected to what's going on. But it doesn't just offer lore for lore's sake. It's also a way of saying that these dragons, well, they're not like other dragons. And of course, he links directly with their previous adventure in General Krieg's house, which is obviously fresh on their minds, since they just went back there. At this point, the cast is convinced that these dragons are attacking purely because they just went back into Brimside's hoard the day before and stole some gold, or disturbed the lair or whatever. Are they right? We'll find out in the next episode, but today it really doesn't matter. Raishan, the green dragon, bursts poison gas out of its mouth and into the crowd. Also, once again, give it up for Matt Mercer exposition. Raishan spoke in third person earlier, so we know this dragon's name. Also, it's noteworthy that this is the first dragon name we hear, and we're going to talk more about that in the next episode. Anyway, Raishan's poison breath rolls over the group, and here's Matt's fourth indicator that they should probably beat feet.
Ooh.
Bad.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
5.
14 with resolve.
Okay.
7.
14.
20.
18.
Okay. All of you take 66 points of poison damage as you feel your lungs and your outer flesh begin to burn and curl.
20 didn't save?
Nope. The rest of the crowd around you
probably
screams out in a horrible pain as the rest of them gasp and fall to the ground.
Holy fuck,
Y'all
he just took
die?
out the entire
Killed
council.
Everybody?
If I have resistance to poison damage because of the belt of dwarven
You
kind,
take
is that
half of
halved?
How many
Yes,
points?
you take only 33.
66.
Fuck me.
Uh,
Like, I can't remember what I'm trying to do.
Keyleth.
We gotta go.
Also, yeah, Marisha is right. Raishan did just take out a whole bunch of council members. I've actually got a video coming out on Monday about stories where you devastate the support structure around the heroes, because it's an extremely useful trope. And as this arc unfolds, we'll come back to that idea a lot and see how it informs a lot of Matt's choices as he was setting the stage for this arc. But right now, the party just makes a plan to run. I also want to point something else out. It's been a full night and day since the fight with the worms in Brimside's lair. Possibly, this was done to make sure that Vax was back with the rest of the group. Possibly it was done so that they wouldn't be under the effects of Hero's Feast anymore. After all, it's kind of important that they not be immune to poison or fear in order to convince them to flee. But I suspect this was already the plan, because setting this on a new day means everybody has all their cool stuff. Vax has the use of his Boots of Speed, Pike has access to all of her healing spells, and of course, Keyleth has her 6th level spell slot back. Speaking of which, Keyleth spots a tree 100 feet away that's large enough for the transport via plant spell, so they all start running. We do get the herky-jerky motion of a group and initiative all running in the same direction, but I don't think that's worth it to pull off this sequence. They also realize that they don't know what happened to Gilmore in all of this chaos. That's not great. And every time they try to spot him, they just roll terribly. Scanlan also casts Bigby's hand just to try to block Raishan from getting close to them. He doesn't worry about doing damage, he's just focused on giving them a chance to get some distance. Seems like the message is sinking in. Also, let's hear a little bit of Matt's narration from this scene.
The guards are kind of trying to usher people out of the way. You have crying mothers who can't find their kid.
Oh, God.
Absolute chaos. And at this point, you hear in the distance a large explosion as you see a rolling cloud of fire rise up in the distance over the mountain and the rest of regular Iman surrounding the Cloud Top district.
This is one of my favorite Critical Role scenes. Matt is firing on all cylinders. He's been working towards this moment for a long time. He also put the tree 100 feet away from them, and 100 feet is a really smart amount of distance. If everybody dashes immediately on their first turn, they still wouldn't get to the tree in one round, which means Matt can play out another cinematic moment after the first round ends. Raishan blasts the rest of the crowd with poison, killing off a lot more people, and clipping Grog again. And then, it gets worse.
At this point in time, you look up and see another set of wings come slamming down to this side.
Holy shit, look at the size of
What
that.
is that thing?
Oh my god.
oh my god!
As it lands, it kind of looks down at the group and then runs up the side of a building's rooftop up here.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So we're totally getting in the tree. I know it. We're gonna make it.
The tree has been evaporated.
Yeah.
So, the rest of you guys, are you all moving as a group forward?
Yes.
Oh, hell's yes.
Okay.
This is such a smart move on Matt's part. We are now at the point where the cast is just trying to flee. They've given up on the pipe dream of killing these dragons today, and that's exactly what Matt wanted. So now, he actually just drops them out of initiative. He doesn't say he's doing that, of course, but he stops going around the table and instead just starts narrating the actions of the enemies, and then he gives the players a chance to react to his nonsense, and then he'll just retort with the next thing the monsters do. This becomes a purely cinematic sequence.
As you're pushing forward, the large black dragon that is like just kind of toying with you, it's climbing across the rooftops and just watching you as you run. And then you just hear it kind of chuckling under its breath.
Okay, is he taking it in the air?
He takes the air and jumps on another rooftop.
Okay, I'm gonna try as I'm running. Do I have enough time to try and take a shot into
You can,
his wing?
yeah.
Am I gonna be able to keep up with the group?
Probably not.
Never mind. Damn it, never mind.
Okay, so you're like, and you just keep running.
You see, Matt has successfully convinced his players that their main priority in this scene should be to flee. That is not an easy feat to pull off in 5e, especially when most of the party is level 12, and they're used to being able to solve the problems in front of them. Hell, even the Briarwoods had to retreat from their first fight with the party in order to live to fight another day. But that is not the case with these dragons. Also, I said earlier that 100 feet is perfect because most of the party could get to the tree in 2 turns if all they did was dash. But that's not what happened. Keyleth, Scanlan, and Pike all cast spells that required an action, so they can't reach the tree in only 2 turns, which means Matt has another chance to easily fit in another cinematic moment.
Oh no.
At this moment, another burst of fire over the wall here, much closer, goes, and swooping out of it, out of the flames,
I hate everything.
you see the largest red dragon you've ever experienced.
What did we do?
Comes swooshing through the flames, rises up past. The 2 of the dragons almost lower their heads as it passes over.
They just want their gold back.
Plants itself outward, and you've seen ancient dragons. This is large for an ancient dragon. In fact, by the sheer size, you feel like you may have encountered this individual before when you were passing through the plane of fire.
That that was like the biggest dragon ever.
Oh God!
I don't remember that.
The guy that we missed because we laid low from him. He
Yeah.
flew over and we were like, "Don't move," and we missed him.
Well, Sam wasn't there for that session, so he doesn't know what the rest of them are talking about.
As it lands, the 2 of the dragons kind of take a step back and recoil and snarl, and you hear this voice come just tearing through the center of the Cloudtop district, saying,
Move on, Umbrasil. I claim this is my domain now. The rest of you have a task complete. Go! I shall remain and set our new dominion of the Chroma Conclave.
That's so cool.
Once again, names. Not just the Chroma Conclave, although also, yes, definitely that, but having the dragons be able to talk to each other gives us a chance to hear another name, that of the black dragon, Umbrasil.
At which point the 2 of the dragons kind of snap at each other, and they both, the black one just kind of whoosh, whoosh, takes off in this distance. The green dragon kind of stalks for a second and then kind of angrily turns around and climbs back up onto the top of the wall and then flies off into the distance as well, both of them heading westward.
West.
Oh, we're okay. Hey guys, it's fine.
You watch as they curve around and start heading east.
East?
If you didn't know, Amon is on the west coast of Tal'Dorei. West of Amon is just ocean. East is all the other places that the heroes went in their pre-stream games.
Just begins breathing flames into the center of the cloud top. As you can briefly see javelins being thrown, bolts being shot, and you just hear a wave of screams in the distance as it just brings death through the center of Iman. You're at the tree, Keyleth. Where are you going? Where are you going?
Where are we going? What are we doing? Are we going back to the keep?
Or to what? To what's into
What
the
do we
keep? To the
do?
keep. To the keep.
To the keep.
To the keep.
Get underground.
Let's get out of
We
here.
need that skull.
What?
Just
The
go get
skull
it.
grants a wish.
I don't
Grog.
believe it.
The skull
Just get to
grants
the
a
keep.
wish.
We'll talk about it there.
I cast transport via plants on the fucking tree.
The tree opens up in a small kind of oval almond-shaped portal, and you can see it's kind of any intensity. It's partially unstable, but it's keeping itself clean. You guys each dive in as the anti-life shell
I
vanishes.
shout, Kilma! Before I go through.
Okay, and you come leaping through the center of the tree as it closes behind you. And we're gonna end tonight's session on that
Oh
point.
my god.
Thought we were going to be starting a brand new Shadowrun campaign next week.
Welcome to the Chroma Conclave arc, my loves. Was it good for you?
You just
What did we
massacred
do?
people.
What did we
Yeah.
do?
You just committed genocide.
I just destroyed something that I built. It's a really weird feeling.
Okay, yeah, we do not have time today to talk about why Matt did this, but we'll talk more about that in Monday's video, as well as in the next episode of this series. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. The next installment of this series is coming in 2 weeks, but I do make other videos every Monday and Thursday. Next week's videos will both tie into the events of this episode in what I hope will be a really cool and hopefully useful way. So make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to catch those videos. Support me on Patreon to help take this series weekly. We just need to hit 1,000 patrons to make that happen. So even if you only donate at $1 a month, you'll be steering us towards that goal. Join my Discord server to hang out with other awesome people. We've got channels for people catching up with Critical Role and experiencing all of these awesome moments for the very first time. Follow me on Twitch for my live streams and sign up for my newsletter if that's a thing you're interested in. As we saw in both the combats in this video, D&D combat is no good if you just plant yourself in one place. So make sure to check out my recent video about how to help make movement matter in your game. Until next time, play fair and have fun.